Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Shegun Olo, and this is Objective Media. We are live now to discuss one of topical issues in Nigeria. And as we speak right now, a lot of us are aware that the governorship elections after the presidential elections have been concluded. The governorship election is the next that Nigerians are now waiting for, and everybody has returned to their respective localities, their grassroots, to start preparing for the governorship election. But well, circumstances, situations are happening, and then as we speak right now, one of the places where we have some kind of flashpoint, or that you can liken to flashpoint, is Lagos State, where two major parties and their supporters are allegedly playing up the ethnic card to win support or to get election or votes on election day. Well, what accounted for this? Because 2015, similar thing occurred with the Oba of Lagos reportedly asking people who do not want to support a particular candidate to go and jump in the lagoons, allegedly. And then again, it is happening again where PDP and APC, the two major parties, are again at loggerheads, and they are said to be playing up the ethnic card yet again. What's responsible for this? What are the implications of trying to use the ethnic card? And that is what I'm discussing now. And I have a guest. Is a popular online social media crusader. Is an activist and also public affairs analyst or commentator. His name is Kayode Ogundamisi. You're welcome on the show, Canary.
Thank you, Shegun. How are you doing?
I'm very good. So we are live now, and then we are discussing the matter. What do you think is particularly responsible for the use of ethnic card in the Lagos governorship politics or election?
Well, I think the best thing is to ask the politicians, particularly those who think in the absence of programs, in the absence of policy documents, they can resort to the primordial sentiment. You know, Lagos is a very cosmopolitan city.
Yes,
It is
definitely.
diverse. Lagos is made up of different ethnic nationalities. I personally always say to people, look, there are more Lagosians who have traces to all parts of Nigeria than any other city. So you would need the votes of these voting blocks, and you have to serve the interest of some of these blocks when you're campaigning. But when you make it the major issue in your campaign, it's a sign of failure.
Definitely.
Let me be very clear. Uh, when candidates invoke this spirit of I am for the interest of a segment of a community, they're just simply lazy, and it's quite unfortunate. For example, in the last few, every time let's break it down. There's no point hiding anything.
Mm.
I personally am extremely disappointed in Jimmy
In who?
because the first time Jimmy Abaje, the candidate of the PDP,
Okay, why?
you know, yeah, because Jimmy is a very brilliant individual. I know him personally. We were all in the politics of Afenifere and the Yoruba self-determination together. The first time he came out to contest in Lagos, he had very brilliant ideas.
Mm.
But the problem with Jimmy is that every 3 years he goes to sleep, and on election year he reemerges. He would have become the credible alternative in Lagos. But
Mm.
sadly, in the last two elections, especially the 2015 election, he started pandering to a segment of the Lagos community, the Igbo community, Igbo Lagosians, which is very, very wrong. You know, Lagos is a city where whether you are Igbo or Yoruba or you are Hausa, once you live in Lagos, you become a Lagosian automatically. I went to secondary school in Agege, and I know a lot of Igbo compatriots who I don't see them as Igbo, I see them as Lagosians.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, there are quite a number of members of the community in Lagos who speak more Yoruba than they who
Then,
speak
yes, that's true.
their language of ancestry.
Mm.
Then we've talked about Jimmy. Let us also say that candidates or people who attack the Igbo community for voting in a side of Lagos during that last election do not represent the Yoruba people. They should be condemned, and I think people have been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
People or ethnic community can decide to vote whichever way they feel will serve their interest. People should not take laws into their hands to stop them from enforcing their democratic rights.
Mm.
So I think all sides need to be free and fair.
Mm. Well, let me quickly ask. One of the major contentions or issues that people contend with here that is actually stoking this argument is one statement credited to one section of the residents in Lagos that Lagos is no man's land. What do you say about, is Lagos a no man's land, or do you think they are just unnecessarily making something up?
I think people need to be sensitive to their host community.
Mm.
When you are accommodated in a community and you are accepted and as part and parcel of that community with all the rights and privileges of the host community, even though you have been accepted, there's a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think this statement will not just annoy indigenous Yorubas in Lagos, but will annoy Igbo Lagosians who see Lagos as their home, and they see and they acknowledge that Lagos being a state for everyone, you still have to recognize the rights and of the indigenous people of Lagos, the Aworis, the Jebus,
Mm-hmm.
the traditional founders of Lagos, the Benin. But that should not take away the right of equality of everyone who resides in Lagos.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, I live in the UK and I have rights and privileges in the UK as a British national. I can contest elections. I can seek the office as an MP. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't go about going to the faces of English people and start saying
Is
England is
it?
no man's land,
Mm.
or London is no man's land. It's quite provocative.
Mm.
I think all we need to do is accept ourselves as members of a very strong community, and knowing that this community will not grow without the contribution of everyone. The only reason Lagos is growing at the rate Lagos is growing is because of the contribution of everybody from all parts of Nigeria. Look, Lagos, when you talk about migrants in Lagos, the Hausa community in Agege,
Mm.
in Bariga,
Mm.
across, they could also claim that they've been neglected. They've never had anybody appointed as a commissioner. They've never had any members of their community given important roles in Lagos. Meanwhile, the Igbo community had a commissioner a Lagosian of Igbo ancestry, a four-term commissioner. You could also have people from the Middle Belt, the people from Benue. They could also say, look, we do not have equal appointments. But I think people what they cannot take in Imo, in Abia, in Enugu, they shouldn't poke the nose of indigenous people. But also, indigenous people will have to respect the rights of people who we have accepted as part and parcel of our community.
I
And
want
that is
to
very
read a
important.
question quickly to you. Somebody is responding on a YouTube live chat. Another person on Facebook live chat. Vladimir says part of the problem. It cannot contest in London. It's a lie. Can you respond
I
quickly
don't
to
think
that?
I don't think the guy is listening very well. I think he needs to increase his hearing mode. What I said is that as a British national, I can contest to any office I seek
Mm.
in London.
Mm.
I can contest to become an MP. If I have the chance, I can contest to Chima, an Igbo guy. Attempted to contest as leader of Labour Party, and he could as well have gone to become the MP of England. What I said is I will not go about poking the nose of indigenous people in England and start telling them England is no man's land, even with all the rights and privilege I have in the UK. So that person needs to listen very carefully. Or maybe I need to start speaking indigenous Igbo language, Yoruba.
Well, he believes that you spoke out of context, and that's why I let you quickly uh, respond to that. But let me also ask, why do you think it has become a party issue suddenly? I mean, during the presidential election, people were not necessarily whipping it up as much that whether Southerners or Westerners should vote one party and the Easterners another party. Uh, what do you think is the implication of trying to now use it during the governorship election?
I think it's because people blame the Yorubas for the loss of Peter Obi and Atiku, and they are seeking revenge, and the only way they can revenge is they assume APC is the party of the Yorubas, and the only way we can pay it back is to make. And they see, and for some reason, Jimmy Agbaja has presented himself more or less like an Igbo candidate or a candidate that represents Igbo interests. So it's a battle. We are going to show you back
Hmm.
for not allowing Peter Obi to become vice president, for not for they think Yorubas are responsible for the election of Buhari, and the only way they can, especially despite the fact that they came back en masse, majority of people of southeastern ancestry voted for PDP
Hmm.
for good reasons
Hmm.
they might have. But if you look at the votes in Lagos, Yoruba, if you look at the history of our voting pattern in Yoruba land, we don't usually vote in one direction. Even during the days of Obafemi Awolowo, opposition would definitely get significant votes.
Hmm.
If you look at the numbers, even in the last election, Lagos was almost equally divided in the election. So for some reason, people just feel that in this governorship election, we are going to come out in large and what I say to them is good luck. People have a right to vote during election. They have the right to vote for candidates. And the good news is that both candidates, whether Jimmy Agbaje or what's the other guy's name, Jide Sanwo-Olu, they are going to represent the interests of the people of Lagos. So they are going to be governors of Lagos. They are not going to be governor of Abia State or governor of Anambra State. They will definitely become Lagos governor. So people should just chill, take a chill pill, and let us accept ourselves as one common citizens of Lagos.
Exactly. Let me ask one this question. This is just to take you back a little bit. 2015, one statement was also credited to the Oba of Lagos, where he reportedly told people that they should feel free, that the lagoon is open. What do you feel about the statement?
Yeah.
People are whipping
Well,
it
if
up
you look at
again.
my Facebook post, yeah, in 2015 when he made that statement, I made a Facebook post
Mm.
condemning the statement of Obari One, His Royal Highness. I think it is not in its place to tell any member of our community that they would end up in a lagoon because of their democratic rights, democratic uh, choice of voting of their voting pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also, well, I'm not excusing it, but you could understand where it's coming from. If people started threatening,
I I think the network is. Can you can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, now I can hear you again. Please continue.
So Jimmy Agbaje elevated, said he was going to make the Obi of Igbos in Lagos a first class king. Those are quite provocative. So you can have a real one on the Oba of Lagos getting angry, but that does not excuse the statement of saying members of our community will perish in the land. I think as king, as leaders, we should watch what we say. And I ask this to all Yorubas. in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Everyone should be welcome to live in Yoruba land. It enriches us as a people. The reason why people
Hello. I
I
think the
can hear
network
you
is
clearly, Shegun.
okay. We are back. The
I can
network is
hear you.
back now.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
I said people, Yorubas, I call on my Yoruba brothers and sisters to continue to welcome visitors. When you welcome visitors into your community, it enriches your community. People should not be provoked. There are a lot of our Igbo compatriots who do not agree with this issue of poking in the nose of Yoruba people. And there are a lot of Yorubas who are also sending provocative statements against our Igbo brothers and sisters. That should stop. That should definitely stop.
Well, let me ask you this last question.
Yeah.
What do you think about Atiku threatening lawsuits to go to the tribunal, to go to court against Buhari? And I'm aware that you supported Buhari in the last election.
Yeah.
Is
I
it
don't know
true
why
that
people are
is
begging
it true
Atiku.
that Buhari actually did not win that election, but that votes were allocated by INEC?
Look, Buhari won by landslide. We predicted this before this election. We said Buhari was going to win. He won. The problem with the Atiku campaign was they depended so much on anti-Buhari forces rather than cutting people to their side. Their campaign was calculated on if we pick an Igbo man from Southeast
Mm.
Nigeria, it's going to
Mm.
turn out the numbers.
Mm.
Sadly, it did not turn out the numbers. The Buhari campaign held on to his base strongly and continued to cut people who will not ordinarily want to vote for it. What I say to people is let Atiku go to court. The court will decide, and the president is President Buhari. And people who are not happy should go to court. The president himself went to court about three times in the past. So I don't see any reason why people are begging Atiku not to go to court. He should go to court.
But in the
But
same
at the
vein,
moment, yes.
we also heard that VP Osinbajo is saying that it is suspicious that it might not be correct to say that Akpabio lost in Akwa Ibom State. What do you feel?
Then I think the VP should let the court decide. He should go to court, just like I said in the case of Atiku. Whoever is not happy about the electoral process, whether you are on the side of APC or PDP, whether you are the vice president or you are Atiku, the court should be the place where facts and evidence will be tendered. And if we want to continue to build our institutions, whatever proclamation accepted by everyone, but until you go to court, the law is clear. INEC has declared Buhari. He has the mandate of the Nigerian people to continue to govern for the next 4 years. And for now, INEC has declared Akpabio's opponent, and that Akpabio's opponent is the senator-elect until the court decides otherwise.
Thank you very much for your time on the show today. Somebody, Desmond on YouTube says, uh, please, Shegun, ask this our brother if he thinks this election is free and fair. Desmond Elliott on YouTube is asking that question.
I think there's nowhere in the world where election is completely free and fair. But in terms of the aggregate of the freeness and fairness, I will judge this election as free and fair. I did vote in Lagos. I actually voted in a community, Ajawa State, dominated by Igbo people, and it was a banter. We lost that polling unit. But it's the yearning of that area, they won. The PDP won in my area, and are we saying that the win in my area is a fluke? I think we had problems during this election as we've had in most elections. But in terms of the general acceptance of the election, it was a very free election. It can be better. It can be much more better. There is violence in certain areas. There's no reason why some people cannot vote or should be stopped from voting. there's no reason why people should kill themselves over election. But we those days where we used to allocate huge numbers in certain areas are gone. With the introduction of the PVC and the card reader, we are getting there, and we hope it will be better.
And I'm actually going to say this because I remember that I stumbled upon you in Lagos. You came all the way from London to come and vote. Many Nigerians, especially others who are residents abroad, are clamoring that there should be electronic voting system where people can vote from wherever, citing the example of Senegal recently. What do you feel? Will you also support this kind of call that the federal government should look at totally electronic means of voting from anywhere? As far as you're Nigerian, you possess your PVC.
There are two things. I have been an advocate of diaspora voting. I campaigned for it under Jonathan. I've been campaigning for it under the Buhari administration. And I think it's a failure that we cannot even organize diaspora voting. It's very simple. You go to the embassy and you do whatever system is used at home. In terms of electronic voting, I don't think we're there yet. I think we can do it. But we need to increase the structure, the infrastructure to be able to let us do it. If we can use ATM cards, if we can use bank cards, if we can perfect the DM system, I think it's something we should be able to try. But we should be very careful, if we are not there yet, in a place where hackers can easily hack into phones, we will be doing ourselves a lot of injury. Until we know that we're sure we're there, we should just perfect on the system we have now. If we get a perfect system where we are now, we can now go to the next stage of electronic voting. Otherwise, it could be easily manipulated, really.
Lastly, let me ask this because many of the people watching are also making comments about it. They are asking what your feeling is about the new generation candidates who stepped out for the first time. I mean, their performance, the performance of the new generation candidates who stepped out for the first time in this election for presidency.
Shagun, you're putting me in a very odd spot.
No, right. I'm just reading people's questions to you, right?
Of the new generation presidential candidates are my friends, But you see, I predicted before the election that a combination of every one of them will not get up to 200,000 votes, and I've been proven right. And I keep saying this, and this is not personal, until they learn to do things the right way, until they learn to build coalitions, until they know that there is no messiah in Nigeria. The fact that you have 10 million followers on social media does not mean you can get 10 million votes. Until they recognize that, until they start building coalitions, every 4 years we'll be having them as a flash in the pan. So I think it's good that we have them contesting, but they need to work harder.
All right, thank you very much, my guest today, Comrade Kayode Ogundamisi. It's been a fantastic time with you. I should let you go now because I actually hijacked your time. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
All right, so that's Kayode Ogundamisi. Well, let me go on a short break now, and then I'll come back to start reading or reacting to comments.
Yeah. Because now them
Ghana
alone.
they deport Nigerians.
Wow.
Don't hear that one before.
No. I just yesterday now for your mouth.
Say now our leaders, our dealers.
Now them.
Now them they cause them.
Yeah. Because now them be Ojelu for this Nigeria. Now them.
Your pastor they talk say make you they pray against Oriburuku come attack Oshidano.
Wow.
And they come they talk say make you they choose that Oriburuku, the two parties where they put you for Oriburuku.
That's so. That's true.
Only Oriburuku.
It's true.
Or they answer for Taka Edanu. You can't pray it away.
Oh yes.
Bíbélì sọ pé o lè wà nínú ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ kò ní kó lè ọ̀fẹ́ máa kọ sí.
Oh yeah,
Ká má rí ni Paul
Apostle.
You cannot abide in sin and be calling for abundance of blessing.
Oh yes.
It's possible. You have to do away with them.
Ibi ò dá ABC ò súnmọ́. Ẹ jẹ́ àdìbò fẹ́ni tó yẹ Nàìjíríà ká lè tẹ̀síwájú. Nàìjíríà don spoil already.
Fẹ́ràn pátì méjì ẹ mọ́.
Tẹ́ ẹ bá wà careful, ibi tó wà gan, Èkó á dìpọ̀ tẹ padà sí Jẹ̀bú.
All right, thank you, everybody. So let's do comments now, right? Let me take comments. So, well, that was Kayode Ogundamisi on the show. And then, if you have particular comments, I'd like to quickly respond to you. Well, it turns out that whether we like it or not, okay, Desmond is saying those are diaspora APC servants. Well, I'm not saying so. Desmond, you already responded to your question before I left the show. And so David is saying that David on YouTube says, I think APC just allocated small numbers of votes to the young candidates to intimidate and make them feel irrelevant. I don't know what party you refer to Vladimir to say Olori Bruku party. Toyin or Ladimeji winning by allocation vote is a win. That guy is Shore's good friend, but is APC man, according to Golden Girl 503. Actually, there are so many people who are Shore's friends, but who didn't support Shore's candidates in 2015. Maybe after they are now done with Buhari's APC, maybe let's wait and see. I don't know. But that is not to say that they are supposed to support somebody because they are friends. Don't forget that Kayode Ogundamisi himself already said that Shere was not the only person who is his friend who contested in the last election. There are a few other persons too. Favor Uwade says, if we can use control our money online when hackers exist, what is stopping us from voting online? Please don't tell me hackers. I'm a computer engineer myself. All right. Well, I'm sure that Ogundamisi is still reading this comment even after he's already on the platform comment section. It's been a fantastic time with you, family, and I want to appreciate all of you for coming and staying tuned on this show. My name is Shegun Lo once again. Sayonara.